Hey everybody, Andy McNamara with you for the Sportsnet Fantasy Extra as I take you through some of the notable fantasy football news and notes out of the Sunday games, get you ready for Monday Night Football, as well as some waiver wire pickups to keep your eye out on. Okay, let's go through the top 5 performers from Sunday, some gaudy numbers here. How about Aaron Rodgers? Now, it's not surprised that Aaron Rodgers was the top fantasy getter this week. He's done that before. He's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. But what's surprising is he's the first quarterback since 1991 to have 5 passing touchdowns and also a rushing TD. That's insane. Aaron Rodgers lit it up, and that was all without Davante Adams. Unbelievable. 43.76 fantasy points. Just next level stuff right there. Then you go to one of the big surprises, and I'll get to my I did not see that coming section in a couple of minutes here, but Marvin Jones, what, no touchdowns from Kenny Golladay? 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Marvin Jones hauled in a career day for anybody. Absolutely wicked. He had 93 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, as I said, 10 catches on it. He was number 2 in PPR, 43.3 fantasy points. Then you go to Chase Edmunds. I'll break that down in more detail, but you look at David Johnson, he had the 1 carry, which was maddening, and then Chase Edmunds took over and went Superman on all of us and had a phenomenal afternoon. Chase Edmunds, 126 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground, and also had 24 receiving yards. He was all over the place. That was the number 3 guy. Latavius Murray, not a surprise with Alvin Kamara out. I fully expected he was going to get a workload similar to what Alvin Kamara would have gotten. Kamara was out. It's a run-first defense right now in short passing yards. So Latavius Murray came in, was a must-start. Hopefully you did, and you got him off of waivers, because that's somebody that if he is still on the waiver wire, you're going to want to snag him as your handcuff. He's the second best handcuff in football next to Chase Edmunds, in my opinion. And if Alvin Kamara misses any more time, you're going to want to make sure you got Latavius Murray there. He popped up 34 fantasy points. Then the biggest surprise of the day, Zack Paschal from the Indianapolis Colts. 2 touchdowns for Paschal. More on 3 of the 5 of these players in my I did not see that coming section coming up in just a couple of moments. Now let's get to some of the injury updates that are coming out of the Sunday slate. These are important. So David Johnson, who I just mentioned off the top, due to Chase Edmunds, still dealing with that ankle injury. That's why even though they started him, they yanked him out. Well, the Cardinals tried out on Monday Spencer Ware and Jay Ajayi. So that means that injury, they are not confident that he will be around either this upcoming week or might miss some time. So they're trying out backup running backs. Makes Chase Edmunds an even more must-own if you don't got him already. And he's the ability Chase Edmunds has shown in a small body of work has been spectacular. So you want to get Chase Edmunds. Hold off on any Jay Ajayi or Spencer Ware pickups right now until we see who they sign and what that might entail. After that, you go to Will Fuller of the Houston Texans. Badly injured hamstring. He will miss multiple weeks. Now, it's not the biggest deal fantasy-wise. I know everyone likes to love on Will Fuller, but when you actually look at the game log, he had 1 huge outing of 50-plus fantasy points. After that, pretty pedestrian numbers. So not the end of the world. Kiki QT and Darren Fells should pick up the slack and the target share from that. So those are a couple of guys that if you're a Will Fuller owner or you're looking for someone maybe on the rise, QT and Fells, especially on that tight end side. They've been using the tight end more in Houston over the last several weeks. After that, you look at Adam Thielen, another hammy, but not as serious. That's good. Bad news is, though, Minnesota Vikings have a game on Thursday, and Thielen is likely to miss that. That means even a bigger target share for Stephon Diggs and Dalvin Cook. I was looking at the tight ends, Irv Smith Jr. and Kyle Rudolph. They each had 5 catches on Sunday, and Rudolph had a touchdown, but they're splitting the workload too much. It's one of those committee situations where you really can't rely on one or the other. So if you're desperate and you're there, sure, but I wouldn't go out of my way to pick them up. And then you have Darius Geis, a little bit of good news for Washington. The sophomore running back that just plagued since his rookie year, over and over of serious injuries. He was practicing, cutting with dynamic moves. So it looks like he's on his way back. He is owned in 30% of Yahoo Fantasy Leagues. So, and he's still on the IR. So you can stash him in the IR slot if you got room. Might be worth a stash there with that Washington offense that obviously could use a jolt of energy when Geis comes back, which could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But if you got room, pop him in there. Now let's get to my I did not see that coming situations from Sunday around the National Football League. Beginning with the Arizona Cardinals and the fact that Cliff Kingsbury apparently hates fantasy football. He hates you, he hates me. It's got to be the case, because otherwise, why would you start David Johnson? Give him one carry, gets 2 yards, parks him on the bench. Why start him at all if you were that concerned? Ruined people's fantasy weeks. Ruined it. Because Chase Edmunds came in, and if you had him as a handcuff, you probably didn't start him because Johnson was going. It just threw everything out of whack. So great day for Chase Edmunds. But David Johnson being benched due to injury and re-aggravating it after one handoff, did not see that coming. Why bother starting? I have no idea. Next, let's go to Zack Paschal. I mentioned him off the top. If anybody owned Zack Paschal or started him, raise your hand. Anyone? No? No. And if you said you did, you're lying, because he was only owned in 1% of fantasy leagues. 1% of fantasy leagues. That means 99% of us did not see that coming. 106 receiving yards and a couple of touchdowns. Here's the thing. I picture this as more of a one-off. That Colts offense is run through running backs, through passing to tight ends, passing to the backs. Now, Pascal's had 2 other low double-digit fantasy weeks. If you want to pick him up, I guess. I'm not. He's not going to be somebody that they're going to be awakening to rival T.Y. Hilton, and he still have Paris Campbell there as well. So a nice one-off for Zack Paschal, but nobody, absolutely nobody, saw that coming. And how about Marvin Jones? 4 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford, could you spread the ball around a little bit, please? I'm a Kenny Galladay owner. I got nothing. I got zip. They like the matchup, whatever the case might be, and Matt Stafford, quickest quarterback to reach 40,000 career passing yards. But man, Marvin Jones absolutely went legend in that one game. Wild. Absolutely wild. Let's get to the Monday Night Football matchup here between the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. Now, it's in New York. Could the Jets win? Yeah, probably not. But as far as some DFS plays, some contrarian points tonight, I'm loving Jamison Crowder out of the slot. Has had some chemistry in Sam Darnold's limited time. Hopefully he hasn't drunk out of any strange water bottles and get that mono back. But so is Sam Darnold. I'm not hating a Jets stack here. If you're doing a head-to-head, let's say in your DraftKings contest or whatever it might be, for DFS tonight. Crowder and Darnold. Then also for season longs, especially Matt Ryan, we have to remember he's nursing an injured ankle. You have Pat Mahomes out. Look at the Jets' schedule over the next 4 weeks. You have Jacksonville, Miami, the Giants, and Washington. Some pretty good matchups, and especially in PPR for Crowder. Standard, I'd leave him alone, but PPR, you gotta love that. And Sam Darnold at a thinning quarterback position, he's only owned in just over 30% of Yahoo leagues, so he's gonna be there. So for tonight, for DFS, and even season long, take a look at those two. All right, any fantasy football questions, hit me up on Twitter at AndyMC81. Use the hashtag AskAndy. You've been watching the Sportsnet Fantasy Extra.